You know, sometimes there's a game where you really don't know how to feel about it. Like, you like one part of it, but other parts you just can't stand. Perfect example of this game is Star Ocean: The Last Hope International. Now, I got this game for a Christmas present. It actually took me 2 years to get to play it because I had like Final Fantasy 13 2 to play, Sonic Generations to play, Final Fantasy 12 to play, which I gave up to play Xenoblade. Very well worth it to play, by the way. This game, I have played every single Star Ocean game in the franchise, and I can say the two ones for PSP, Star Ocean 1 and Star Ocean 2, are good. They are quite good for a PSP game. I can recommend those if you have a PSP. Star Ocean 3. That game... there goes my ringtone, sorry about that. That game... I liked it. It was okay for PS2, but it was way too long. Like, it was 72 hours long. And that wasn't even counting the side quests, which I didn't even know there were, and I didn't do any of them. So, and you know what? If you're going to make a game 72 hours, you have to keep the player's interest. That game could not keep my interest long enough to complete it. Although I did complete it. Let me tell you, that final boss was so freaking annoying. It took me 3 tries. The last try took me 45 minutes to beat it. And you know what? My controller's drenched in sweat. You know, I was happy just so I can beat that boss. Because only 2 bosses in video game history, Nyx from Persona 3 and that, have made it personal and actually got me pissed off. So anyway, getting back to Star Ocean 4. Review in a nutshell. The gameplay and exploration is very nice. I really like exploring the worlds, all the various planets, and I do like the combat. It's very Tales of-ish, so if you like the Tales of games, you will like this game. But wow. The part of the game which really sucks is the story. There is no faster way to lose my interest in anything than to write a crappy story. And you know what? There's only 2 examples when I've ever played a video game and said... Okay, 3 examples. Well, Sonic 06. That was Persona 2, Star Ocean 4, and Sonic 06. When you just get a junior in high school to play your game and say, I could have written a better story, that is never a good sign. Let me tell you that much right now. But it could have been a lot worse. It started off okay. The story was decent. Well, let me explain the premise. Basically, World War III just happened, and you're going off into space to find other planets to colonize. And yeah, it's just Edge Maverick, that's the main guy, and Rami Sayanji, I think that's how you pronounce her name. I can never get it. No. And they basically just go off and try to colonize new planets. That's fine. Great premise you got there. I could do a lot with that. But the weird thing is, they have a big antagonist for this game. And I find it odd where, if it's a premise like that where you're just trying to find a new home planet, you really don't need an antagonist. You know, you don't need some force or a person screwing you over. I mean, it's a bad enough scenario. You don't really need a bad guy. You don't. I mean, Clannad, I know, totally different, but it didn't have an antagonist. It was just bad scenarios. And it worked! It worked! Nothing wrong with that. Anyway, getting back to the story. You basically have a bunch of teammates. You have Edge, who's basically the paladin of the group. Remy, the range attacker. FaZe, this is a green-haired guy. He's an alien. He's okay. He's like a red mage. That's how I would describe him. He's okay in the story, but something happens later where it's just really stupid. I'll just explain it right now, just to get out of the way. So basically when you're on Rogue, which is the planet from the first Ocean, which was a pretty cool part of the game, I will admit that. But basically when he witnesses something disturbing in that place, his eyes turn red. And it is never ever explained why they turn red. Like, ever. And they just turn red randomly. He gets angry, I guess. or energetic, and then they just turn purple again. Now, if they told me that, like, that's what his alien species does when they get angry, I would have bought that. I would have been totally fine with the explanation. In fact, that's the explanation I came up with, because the game doesn't give you one. It doesn't. So, it's stuff like that. You know, if you're going to have a character's eyes turn, like, devil red, have a good explanation for it, because the game doesn't give you one. And then you have Limo, who's basically the mage of the group. I swear to God, it's like they got Kristen Stewart to voice this character. I mean, there's never any emotion in this character. She always sounds stoned. It's hilarious. Oh, and the voice acting. The voice acting in this game is mediocre at best. Now, the voice acting in Star Ocean 3 was kind of mediocre, but that was on a PS2 game released in like 2004. This was a PS3 game released in 2010. No excuse. Metal Gear Solid 4 had great voice acting. That was on PS3. It was released 2 years earlier. No excuse, Square. I mean, I love your games, but come on, you couldn't get better voice actors. Okay, at least they give you the option to change to the Japanese voice, and the Japanese voices are good. But the option to switch to Japanese voices is only on the PS3 version of this game. It's not on the Xbox 360 version, which does have 3 discs, by the way. And the funny thing is that the lip syncing on the characters, it's only synced to the Japanese voice. It's only synced to the Japanese voices. That always freaking cracked me up. It was just... I mean, have you seen that going... Haba? And their lips would be going like... Haba, 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 haba. I mean, okay, yeah, PS2, the character's voice lips went like... But that was on PS2. They had an excuse, okay? They had an excuse. Really? You couldn't get the lip syncing any better? I mean, you couldn't at least change it to the correct language? Oh, and for the, you know how some games, like most games on PS2 or PS3, they have like super... When like it's a real cutscene, like a pre-rendered, it looks all fancy and stuff. Even in that, the lips are still synced to the Japanese voices. Why? You really couldn't sync it to the English voices? I didn't know it was that difficult to do. Again, nitpick, but it bothers me. If it bothers you, chances are you will be laughing at the cutscenes. Which I was at times. Anyway, there's also a character, Bacchus. He's like this cyborg, big green cyborg. This is one of the only characters I like because he's freaking RoboCop. You look at that character, you listen to his voice, it's freaking RoboCop. Don't try to convince me it's not. You look him up on Google Images, it's freaking RoboCop. Hell, the first thing you see him do is blast through a wall with his arm cannon. That's pretty badass. And then you also have like a cat girl Miracle, which you encounter on an alternate Earth in a different dimension in the 1950s. Okay, now when that happened, in like 15 hours in, I said, okay, this is pretty cool. Okay, going to Earth where you're like, you know, the whole alien goes to Earth thing, like, you know, the government interfering, stuff like that, you know, standard movie, alien stuff. I like that. That was cool. I've never seen anything like that in a game. But, yeah, no buts. That part is awesome. Anyway, get back to Miracle. She's like this cat girl, and she's useful. I mean, the voice is kind of annoying and high-pitched, but it's a cat girl character. It's supposed to. And I think that's actually the best of all the voices. Is it? Second best. And then you got, who else? Oh, Miria. Basically the black mage. She's a likable character. I do think the voice acting is good. Yeah, nothing really to say. She's kind of bland, but then again, so are the other characters. Then you have, oh god. Then you have Sarah, the feather folk from Rogue, who's basically the white mage. Her voice acting is awful. I mean, okay. Let me try to get it. Hey guys, no, I'm not a chicken. I'm a feather. Oh my god, that sounds almost exactly like it. Oh my god. Sorry about laughing right there. I just didn't know I could do the voice that good, or that well. But the voice acting is awful. She's almost like Limo, where she has the same monotone voice, and it just drives me insane. Oh my god. And then you have Matt, who's basically the mixed attacker of the group. He only speaks like 20 sentences, I think. That's about it. He's at least a good character to have in combat. I mean, doesn't really contribute anything to the story, but then again, neither do most of the characters, so I really can't say anything about that. Oh, I really do hate Remy. I do. Because, kind of get into more spoiler territory here. Basically, she was part of a project where her friend Crow and Edge were given like powers. They were called like the Seeds of Hope or something, to help them survive. Now, her power is her body can adapt to any foreign pathogen to help her survive. Cool power. But it basically contributes nothing to the story at all. The only 2 times when it comes into play is when she gets stone sickness from Roke. And they fixed that within 20 minutes of gameplay. You could have cut that scene out entirely and there would have been no issue. And then another part was when you're about to fight a boss, but then he hits you with this mega like wave attack or something. I don't know what it's called. I don't know what it is. But then she gets up, sticks an arrow on the guy's head, and then you start the fight. But you could cut those scenes out and it would have been fine. And the thing that makes me laugh is that the power that helps her body adapt to any foreign pathogen, she still gets poisoned in battle. So it works when the plot wants it to work, but it doesn't work when it's useful because she got poisoned all the freaking time. I mean, it was ridiculous. She got turned into a pumpkin all the time, which is actually one of the better stats effects. It's actually pretty funny. I mean, she'd get poisoned, she'd get frozen. I said, your power's not working that well. I mean, they never even specify what Crow's power is. I mean, that guy with no personality who appears like in 20 minutes and then sacrifices himself to like draw this big ass dragon into a black hole to save the group. Barely knew him, didn't really feel bad. And then Edge's power. They never specify what it does. Ever. I mean, there's like this sigil on his hand that kind of like glows before 2 battles. But it doesn't give him super strength. It doesn't like make him fight any better. What it does, and this is like in massive spoiler territory. So before you're off to fight the final battle phase, like he escapes the ship because he thinks everything is going to hell. And he basically gets caught in an explosion. Or so you think. Basically there's like this missing procedure, I forget what it's called. And it's basically taking like information from living species and making like phantoms, which are like enhanced species or something. I don't know. They never explain it quite well. And then basically somehow the universe is in danger of getting destroyed in hopes of creating a new universe. Again, you really don't need this when the plot of the game is to just find a habitable planet for you. You really don't need this big bad guy. And then basically you go to this planet. I think it's called Nox. I think that's the planet where like the missing procedure is, or like what's causing the universe to destroy. And when you go through the final area, I avoided every single fight, and I only grind like 2 levels, and I was okay for the final boss. I was perfectly... You know what? It was better than the Star Ocean 2 final boss because, granted, I had to grind 20 levels, but it wasn't for the final boss. It was for the 3 fights before the final boss, because you have 3 guys, and they just spam attacks forever. That took me 10 levels, and then when it got to these like 2 guys, like one with like a sun head or something, it was weird. That fight should have been the final boss, because that fight was way harder than the last 2 fights. Way harder. And the Star Ocean 3 final boss, that boss was amazing. It was hard, it was annoying, perfect for a final boss. Star Ocean 1 final boss wasn't too hard, wasn't too easy, just right, just right. The Star Ocean 4 final boss, you find out it's phase. Like, he explains that when he got caught in that explosion, he gained all the power absorbed from the missing procedure. How does that work? Apparently, he can absorb power. I mean, this is like freaking infamous where Cormagrath can just bio-leech a guy and take his energy. That makes sense in that universe's logic. In this universe's logic, it really doesn't. I mean, it's a good twist. I could never see that coming. Nobody could see that coming. But it was stupid. I mean, it was really freaking stupid. Anyway, so then you fight him, and then he sends you off into a different dimension. And, of course, a different dimension, you barely have any direction where to go except for this low light. And then, this thing made me so mad. When you're in this different dimension, there are these, like, big crystals off to the side. And there's no save point. There's no save point after the first phase, by the way. If you touch those crystals, you fight one of the bosses from the game again. And they're all powered up and stuff. And you can't run away from them. That is such BS. I mean, okay, it's good for a training area, but really? So I was just being really, really careful not to touch any of those crystals because I had to save all my healing items. And so when I finally get out of there, okay, so apparently Edge's power is the power that connects all life in the universe and the power of light. He escapes a different dimension through the power of light. Okay, if this was Kingdom Hearts, I would buy that. Because in that universe, light and darkness are actual forces that can have effects. Or if it was like, or getting back to the power where it connects all life in the universe, I would buy that if it was in Chrono Cross. Because the Chrono Cross has the power to harmonize all life in all the different dimensions. In those two universes, that power makes sense. This universe, it makes no freaking sense. And again, you could have cut this scene out and it wouldn't have changed the story at all. You could have cut the Children Hope project out of the story and it would be fine. They didn't need that. I don't know why they put it in. I could have written a better story. Anyway, getting back. They escape. They fight the final boss. So it has two phases. Basically, it has like these 4 jewels in front of it, so you can only attack it from the front. And once you do that, it basically starts spamming one-hit KO moves like a bastard. So this is how I fought the final boss. I switched to Sarah with her horrible voice acting, and I spammed Fairy Healing and Resurrection for a good 40 minutes. A good 40 minutes. Why? Okay, I haven't played any Tales of games, so I don't know if that's how final battles go. But that was boring final boss. It was, I mean, it wasn't even frustrating. It wasn't even fun. It was just boring. Okay, so basically when they kill the final boss, like Nox, like the power engine Nox gets cut off or something and it's crumbling. So basically they have like a teleportation symbol open up so that they can get out. Edge insists on staying with FaZe. So everyone teleports. It basically crumbles. You see them fall into a black hole pretty much. And then in the epilogue you see Edge show up on the ship. Perfectly fine. No. The power of light cannot save you from being sucked into space and into a black hole. Unprotected, not happening. And even then, that's a pretty specific power to give your child. Okay, in Star Ocean 3, Fate's dad did give him like the power of destruction to fight the time gate and what was beyond it. But that's because he had a warning from the time gate saying, oh yeah, like you advance too much, you're crossing into God's realm, we're going to eliminate you. He had a reason to give him this specific power, and to give his friend Sophie, I think her name is, this specific power, and this character named Maria specific power. He had an excuse to give him very specific powers. This, I mean, would you be performing a science experiment on your child and going, you know what, I should probably give them this power to save them just in case they ever fall into a black hole. I mean, I just can't see his dad doing that. I can't. Okay, yes, they did get sucked through a black hole like twice. But that was when they were in a spaceship. Now, I don't know how black holes work. I don't know what happens when you get sucked into one. I don't know what goes on. I don't know where the black hole leads. I don't think anybody does. But I'm pretty sure you're not surviving that. I'm pretty sure you're not coming back. You're not. So yeah, BS ending. The ending is really BS. I mean, the story in general just falls apart. Like, there's this one thing where, like, basically, the theme of the game is we have to evolve on our own. We can't let outside sources evolve. And it's funny because, like, when Edge is going into a tournament on Rogue to do something, I won't spoil that, but it's not worth spoiling. He basically says, if I use this sword in the tournament, people will know that I'm from somewhere else. I'm not from here. But it's funny because I'm pretty sure I equipped a sword that was from the planet Rogue. And it was a pretty famous sword too. So I really don't see how that's a problem. And like you see these bands going, yeah, give us your fancy sword or something. I said, it's a sword from Rogue. What's the issue? I mean, the story, the characters just suck. Oh, and Raimi, she's all sad because she has this power that basically allows her to die of natural causes, that allows her to adapt, that won't allow her to die from disease. Why are you complaining? Every human alive would love to have your power, and you're complaining about this? No. 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 I'm sorry, but no. But that being said, enough of bashing on the story. Let's get to the combat. The combat is fun. It is a good combat. It's not random encounter. You do see the enemies beforehand. And there's even a little bonus board that gives you like bonuses in battle depending on what you do. But my issue with that is that all except for one, there's like 4 different bonuses. All of the bonuses except for one are very, very specific. And you'll be getting them out of random chance more often than not. Okay, so the XP bonus that gives you like a 10% experience boost, you get that from finishing an enemy with a critical. Easy enough if you're in rush mode, but even then that happens randomly, so again, it's bonuses. And then the one that gives you SP, skill points, you have to get ambushed. Now, that's okay. I can set up an ambush by myself, and you do get like a 30% bonus XP for getting ambushed, but it doesn't work like that. You don't get the bonus if you're only ambushed by one enemy. You have to get chain ambushed. Like, if there's 2 enemies next to each other on the field, and then you get ambushed by one, it'll be a chain battle, and then the next battle will commence with you being ambushed, and then you get the bonus. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But then you get full bonuses, which is the currency. And you get that from, I believe, finishing multiple enemies with one move. Simple enough, I will admit that. And then there's the slight HP and MP refill. I forget what you have to do for that. I think it's, skill only. Like, you can only kill an enemy with skills. Simple enough, but you'll be spamming skills, like, forever. Oh, another thing. I always love how we somehow got all these planets in the galaxy to use the same currency. I love that. I mean, we can't even get everyone on the same planet to use the same currency. And in World War III, which is in like 30, 20, 40 years from present day, I love how they got not only everyone on the planet to use the same currency, but every other humanoid species in the galaxy to also use the same currency. I know, that just kills me. I know, it just makes me laugh every time I think about it. Now, the exploration. you will be backtracking if you do want to get 100%. Because there are these different disintegration rings, like there's a fire one, earth one, a lightning one, and that basically opens up blocked off areas. And it's actually kind of funny because I lent this game to my friend, and she actually gave it back to me like 2 days later. I said, "Oh, what's wrong? You didn't like it?" And then she said, "I couldn't figure out how to use the disintegration ring." It tells you on the screen when you can disintegrate something. There's a little icon on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen that says O button, that shows the O button and shows the amount of uses left on the ring. I still have no idea how she screwed that up. I just personal note, nothing really related to the review. I just felt like bringing that up because I couldn't help but laugh. I really couldn't. It was just so ridiculous. Anyway, what else? Oh, the item creation. Basically, you can set your party members to create new recipes for items, and that's okay. But here's the thing: I have no idea how to get most of these the synthesis items for the really, really good items that you can create, like weapons and armor. So, and I only created like one piece of armor and one staff throughout the entire game. I never made anything else with these weapons, like, ever. I mean, granted, it's good. You can make a lot of these, like, symbology cards. I never used them. I don't even know what they do. I think they just cast a spell, but it's not. I don't think it's worth the synthesis items. I mean, there's some. I think you do get the ultimate equipment via the item creation, but even then, I never got any of those. I never got any of the synthesis items for using that. I don't know where to get them. Oh. I'm like, the cutscenes, they seem off. Like, okay, this game does seem kind of unfinished in terms of cutscenes. Because, like, a character would be running off screen, and then the cutscene stops, and then starts another cutscene. Like, I don't know, it just seems kind of unfinished. Like, it's kind of hard to explain, but, again, just a nitpick, nothing really bad. But, here's the thing, the cutscenes can get very, very long. At one point, a cutscene took 35 minutes. Okay, unless if you're Metal Gear Solid, you have no reason to have 35-minute cutscenes. Metal Gear Solid earned those cutscenes. I think all of you can agree on me with that one. Metal Gear Solid earned those cutscenes. And you know what? It kept you entertained through every 45-minute cutscene. Because there's a lot of story to get out of the way, there's a lot of action, the voice acting and graphics were fantastic. And I'm usually not one. And you know what? I'm actually very generous when it comes to voice acting. I am very, very generous when it comes to voice acting. I rarely ever complain. I do stick up for a lot of dubs. I do. But when it's bad, I will fully admit it's bad. And you know what? I really don't care about graphics that much. But these graphics, they do bug me a little. They seem kind of like Sonic 06 graphics where they don't seem done. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Maybe I just think that way. But it does look kind of unfinished. Again. But, oh god. Prime example of a cutscene not being finished. So when like FaZe is like going over an Edge, and Edge is like trying to help him up, and FaZe is going, just let me go, Edge. Edge, he like does like the sad laugh, but he does like the scare, excuse me. He does the scariest freaking face I've ever seen in a non-horror video game. It looks so unfinished. He has like these alien eyes are going, and his mouth is just going open. I expect like the alien to burst out of his eyes. It looked really freaking creepy. If you want to see it, look at the final cutscene. I think I'll just put it in the link in the video description, but it looked really freaking scary. I was actually laughing when a character died. So, oh, another thing. Whenever something sad, this is just an example of how bad like the acting is in this game. Whenever something bad happens, the character, it seems like, how do I make a good example? You know when your friend tells you something sad, but you kind of don't care, or like your friend is complaining about something, and then you go, "Oh, I'm sorry." Like you really don't know how to feel. You try to act sad and try to act sympathetic, although you're not really doing a good job. That's how the characters act whenever something sad happens. I swear to God, it's almost exactly like it. It is. It made me laugh every single time something bad was happening. It's really sad because Star Ocean, the series, it deserves a great game. It does. I played all 4. Star Ocean 1, really good for an SNES game. I played the PSP remake. It's very good for PSP. Played the second one. Same as the first. If it's not broke, don't fix it, right? Star Ocean 3, way too long. I would say this is my least favorite of the series, but at least it's just 50 hours of mediocrity and not 72 hours of mediocrity, you know? You know, I really do want to go into the video game industry and do make a great Star Ocean game, because it's so sad that this series has had only good to mediocre games. It deserves so much more. It does. I mean, it really does. Anyway, final verdict. I think I pointed out everything. Have I? Yeah, I think I pointed out just about everything funny about this game or everything bad about this game. Because the story really is atrocious. I mean, it is. And like, I didn't even give like half of the crap. Or did I? I think I pointed out like every piece of crap story in there. Anyway, final verdict. If you do want to play this game, do get the PS3 version, because it gives you, let me see, multi-language text options, Japanese audio, and selectable character portraits. So, as opposed to the new CGI anime images next to the characters' health bars, you can get the anime style, which is nice. And it is only 1 disc, unlike the Xbox 360 version, which has 3 discs. Again, genius Xbox 360. Another reason why the PS3 is better. Well, that's just my opinion. Okay. If you do want to play this game, do get the PS3 version. Do get it. If you see this game for like $10, if you're looking for some good exploration, if you do like Tales of Combat, if you like field skills like harvesting, like smithing, if you like a lot of bonus content, if you can forgive a horrendous story, if you can skip the cutscenes, it's an okay game. If you see this for, I don't know, $10 at a GameStop, if you skip all the cutscenes, you'll have a good time. You'll have a decent enough time for $10. You will. But I cannot recommend this game if you're buying it for full price. If it's for full price, or if it's for anything more than $10, do not buy this game. Just do not. Anyway, that's my thought on Star Ocean 4. I will be reviewing a bunch of other games, movies, pretty much anything. Anyway, my next review. I can't wait to tell this game a new one. Persona 2, Innocent Sin. I'm going to tear this game a new one when I review it. Anyway, this is Torchicguy, signing off. Goodbye.